Belal Muhammad's gotten pretty cocky with that belt. He's dangling the carrot. I ain't mad at him.
You saying that? I imagine how I feel. I'm like, who the is this guy? I didn't know who this guy was a couple years ago or last year. I didn't hear his name. I don't even remember his name. But I get it. One thing I said, when you become champion, it's the affirmation of the delusion that you've had in your mind, thinking that you could get there for all these years. He paid for someone to do a diss song or whatever. Ooh, hit the best move.
Hey, I tell you what, Kamara, Belal is doing a hell of a good job. Trolling, dude.
Corny. That song was as corny as can be.
I love corn.
Hey, looking at a golden belt, I have 6 of them in the room next door. So yeah, I can look at belts all day.
Let's talk about the options, right? One of the things we always talked about with you was Conor McGregor. He seems to be tied up with Michael Chandler, but what do you make of this whole situation? He's, waiting and pushing it back, and Chandler says, I'm not letting this guy go. What's your take on this?
My take on it is I can swoop right in. I can knock Chandler's ass out, knock him dead on the mat, grab that microphone, call out bitch Chandler, but he'll never fight me, so why even waste my time, bro? He won't even fight Chandler, bro. So I don't know. I know what Conor's deals. I don't think he's ever gonna fight, But Chandler's just gonna sit around waiting and stuff. I mean, we can fight. I can knock you out, and then you can still wait for Conor. What's the point? You can still wait for him all you want. But as far as me, I just want to get in there and reach this heat, man. See what they can line me up with.
Good morning, guys. Just had to respond to this right here. This thing went pretty crazy yesterday, with everyone talking about this dream matchup that a lot of people are talking about. I love the idea. Problem is, I don't think the UFC loves the idea right now. But at some point, at some stage, George, you will absolutely get your block knocked off. I respect you, what you've done in the sport, but you will absolutely get your block knocked off at some point. Till then, trust me, boys and girls, we got something cooking.
I was with Ian Gary because he was going to fight MVP. He came to Brazil and he asked me, and he's going twice a week in my academy, and I'm helping. It's nice because it's something that I wasn't thinking about to be involved with fighters. I was more like focused on the regular people, but then fighters keep coming, and it's interesting because you're always excited with the game, especially in this level. Like Ian is like a fight that interests me. It's like 2 of the best in the world in striking,
Does Ian speak Portuguese?
He's learning, he can understand it, he's speaking well.
Tell him I said, chupa me pau.
What's that mean?
No, we cannot talk here. No.
It was horrible. I hated the sale. I didn't want to sell, but the Fertittas were ready to go. I think because I didn't want it, I just didn't think it was going to happen. So I just sort of dismissed it. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks when it actually went down.
UFC just sold for $4 billion.
WME IMG bought the UFC for $4 billion.
This was a sports property bought in 2001 for $2 million.
$2 million to $4 billion today is and will be one of the greatest sports business stories of all time.
I was driving to the arena for the weigh-ins, And Lorenzo called me. He said, the deal's done. We sold. And I just remember I was like, it was so, I couldn't believe that it was real. And he's like, when you get to the arena, you need to sign the papers. And I was like, oh, f***.
We went in the back into the locker room, I think during the or before or after the weigh-ins, whatever. I said, dude, don't worry about me. I'm good. Be happy. We just accomplished something that was unheard of and nobody ever thought could be accomplished. Now let's let Ari do what he does with Endeavor, which is go cut incredible deals. He's gonna let you run this thing on a day-to-day basis. You're gonna take this thing to the next level. And that's what happened. I think in some sense, while he was emotionally distraught for many reasons, it was a bit of a validation like, hey, some really smart people just paid us $4.2 billion for this thing. So I know as he tells the story, he was distraught, but there was a side of him too that like, hey, wow, look what we did. Look what we did.
And what would happen if you fought John Jones?
What will happen? I think I win. But we will never know unless they let him fight.
It's so sad the fights that Dana is blocking in just the whole fight industry, from UFC fighters boxing. I want to see Sugar Sean O'Malley box. I want to fight Alex Pereira. I want to see you versus John Jones. Like, there's just so much fun that could be had in the fight world, but greed is a crazy sin, and he is sinning, and it's sad to see, man. It's sad to see. As a fight fan, like, I want to see you versus John Jones so bad, and
I want that fight. I always wanted that fight, but you know, I'm in the point that I don't hold up to stuff. If he works, he works. If he doesn't work, he doesn't work. I'm still having a life. I think both of us, we're still having a life.
Izzy told New Zealand Herald, "I am extremely disappointed after an incident on Wednesday when a random member of the public stopped his car, racially abused me, and challenged me to a fight. We have been in contact with police and will be pressing charges. On Wednesday morning, I was leaving a cafe when a passing car slowed, and an occupant began yelling racial abuse and challenging me to fight. I smiled, waved it off, and continued to my car. The vehicle stopped and the abuse continued. I again waved it off. The car then parked and the passenger got out, approached me aggressively, continued his torrent of abuse, and demanded I fight him. I tried to de-escalate the situation repeatedly. As he got closer, I asked bystanders to call the police. He then entered my personal space and I felt threatened. To protect myself, I became more forceful in my language and defensive. Though he paused, the abuse continued, so I left him with some choice words, cautiously moved to my car and drove away." It's ridiculous that I can't buy a pie after training without some idiot screaming despicable things and asking for a fight while his mates film from the sidelines. Threatening violence is no joke. It's very dangerous, and incidents like this must not be glorified online. I hope in the future people say something rather than get their phones out to film. According to the New Zealand Herald, Adesanya has filed a formal complaint to the police.
Does Ian speak Portuguese?
He's learning, he can understand it, he's speaking well.
Tell him I said, chupa me pau.
What's that mean?
No, we cannot talk here. No.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Quentin Rampage Jackson, and he's Ian the fuck, you didn't even know my name, and he's like asking Ariel, does his wife really have a boyfriend? No, you tick.